Hi, and welcome back to our series on frame board profitability, a step-by-step guide to better frame board management. Over the course of the past several sessions, we've talked a lot about our frames and how we need to think differently about our frame boards. We've dived into understanding frame categories and determining percentages based upon our allocation amounts and price points and frame categories, to also incorporating high margin product frames and how we can leverage these frames with our managed care plans. This session, we are going to take a journey into a practice within EDGEPro. And all the things that we have uncovered, during these past three sessions, we're going to do a walkthrough in EDGEPro. So let's hop on over and take a look. As we begin our journey in EDGEPro, I want to start off in our business overview page. What I love about this page is not only can I see the revenue, but what I really want to know is that value, the interaction that we're having with our patients. How great of a job are we doing in speaking to the benefits of the products and services that we're providing our patients? Since we're talking about frames in this series, I want to focus in and hone in on our optical revenue per exam. And we can see that for 2019, in comparison to 2018, we're down in our optical revenue by $3.20. That's about a 1.1% difference. Everywhere else in our clinic is doing well, but we need to take a look at what is happening within the optical. So the first place that I would like to start would be our opportunities. I just want to take a peek and see, as it relates to our frames, what should we be really focusing on? And the two big components that come out of here are my $0 frames and our patient-owned frames. For those of you that don't know, $0 frames are those frames that are typically covered by a managed care plan. And when it comes to industry averages, $0 frames, patient-owned frames, we should be running somewhere between 15 and 18%. That is private pay and all of our managed care plans. So cumulatively, we want to fall between that 15 and 18%. So we can see here that our $0 frames, our current average is 35%. Patient-owned frames are 25%. So what we want to do is dive a little bit deeper and understand where might those opportunities lie. If we just take a look here, if we made some small incremental changes, let's just say that we improved our current average by 6%, that alone is going to generate $19,572 in our $0 frame. So that's just converting patients over, contributing some dollars towards their frame. If we take a look at patient-owned frames, our current average is 25%. If we strive to have a 5% improvement and get us down to 20%, that change alone is going to generate $22,000. So between the two, we're looking at close to $41,000. Small incremental changes. So let's take a dive a little further. We're going to jump over here into our optical overview, and I want to take a look at our frames. So this is our statistics page here, and what I love about this page is it gives me a really good idea of what's happening. So I can see here that, the number of frames sold, we actually sold 137 more units in 2019 than we did in 2018. Our average frame sale in 2019 was $129.62. That's down 94 cents in the same time period of 2018, which was $130.57. In 2019, we did a great job. We reduced our patient-owned frames by 60. So in 2019, we had 864 patients that utilized their own frames, and that's down from 2018, which was 924. Our $0 frame sales are up. So in 2019, we had 931. That's up by 115 units in comparison to 2018. So, what was the revenue opportunities here? What was that impact that we had just in these two buckets right here? So, the difference that, we went down by 94 cents. And so if we take this 94 cents and we multiply it by 2,691 frames, that equates to $2,529. Pretty significant in just that small little change, decrease in our average frame sale. Well, this should be a big one. Our $0 frame sales, we increased by 115. So if we take that 931 and we multiply that by 129.62, that equates to $120,000. So that's a lot of money that is a missed opportunity as it relates to those $0 frame sales. So where does that lie? What managed care plan do we need to be going to take a look at? So before we jump into that, we can see that our top 10 frames are over here on the right-hand side, and we can see that we sold a lot of Davis Vision frames. My guess is that Davis Vision is going to be our culprit. Not 100% convinced, but let's take a look. We're going to dive over here to Buy Plan. And what you're going to see here is that VSP is actually our #1 managed care plan. So of all the total frames sold, it comes in at about 32%. Taking a look over here at our average frame sale, we can see here that VSP, that average frame sale is $122.50. This is patient paid. This is a great number. Taking a look at our $0 frames, that we can see that Davis Vision and VSP are our top 2 managed care plans that are contributing to these $0 frames. In fact, Davis Vision is about 43.5%, whereas VSP is about 29.7%. So if we can reduce those averages just a little bit, we're going to increase our revenue as well as our optical revenue per exam and our average frame sale. So since we noticed that Davis Vision was our top manufacturer as far as frame sales are concerned, just take a look here that our average is $71.91. So that's definitely an area of opportunity that we need to take a look at. What's happening with Davis Vision? Why are those averages less than all of our others? The next place that I want to go is I want to take a look at some trends over time and really year over year. And I can't see that on this particular page. So where I'd like to go is price point matrix. And what I love about this page is that I can get a lot of information for totality for all frames sold by managed care as well as private pay. And also I can drill down by a specific plan. So we know that our average frame sale was down by about 94 cents. And so one of the things that we can do is that we can come over here and we can see exactly what's happening with each of our price points. I do want to change this filter here to list. And so list shows me, what is the average list price, and it's coming out to about $259.59, whereas a year ago it was $243. So that list price has increased significantly. What this is telling me is that the average of our frame sales are falling in this category of, from a list perspective, here in this bucket here, these 2 buckets, and, which is fine. But, notice here that, we've done a great job in getting patients to contribute dollars in some of these higher categories. That's fantastic. And if we take a look down here, we can see that, this bucket here of 200 to 249 is down. Our 250 to 299 bucket is also down, but our frame sales of the list, the usual and customary fee averages in these buckets have tremendously increased. And that's the contributing factor here in this increase in our average list price. But one thing that I want to point out is we've done a great job. And you can see here that, the 300, 399 bucket has increased, as well as the 400 to 499 and the 500 to 599. Same thing with our 6 to 699. Our $700, $800, those have all relatively remained the same year over year. And in 2019, what helped boost this average as well is that we had a frame sale that was $2,000. So that's fantastic. So this gives you a breakout of, what's happening as far as the number of units sold in the list. You can also see it by patient, and you can see it by true. The other thing that I love is that if I really wanted to know who were these 10 patients where we had a list of $1 to $49, this is a hyperlink, and it will pull up these 10 patients that contributed dollars to this amount. So that's one thing that I love here. The other thing that I love is that, if I come in here and I want to isolate and see exactly what's happening with VSP, I can do so. And we can see that during this time period, VSP did great. That average increased by $25. If we take a look here, remember our $0 frames kind of crept up a little bit. Now we can see that with VSP. So 45 more patients, selected a frame that had a list price of $0. So we would need to understand that, because there really shouldn't be a reason why a patient is selecting a frame that's $0, unless it's coming through as a warranty, and that could be the case. But you can see here that with VSP, we had no frames that listed between 1 and 49. However, we did here in this bucket. Our list averages increased with VSP, which is fantastic. Everything increased here. And we had that big sale down there at the bottom. The other one that we want to take a look at here is Davis Vision. And so with Davis Vision, we can actually see that the average patient paid frame price actually dropped by $5.26. So whereas VSP is up, Davis Vision is down. Remember that Davis Vision also was the top leading $0 frame sales, and you can see here, that as well. And you can see what's happening. So, part of the contributing factor is that we had more $0 frames, but we also had a decrease in these buckets here. So we really need to spend some time in understanding and assessing your Davis Vision Care plans. What's happened? What's changed? Has benefits changed? Has frame retail allowances, have they increased? What's going on? The other thing that probably raises a red flag with those Davis Vision plans is that they've got the red, yellow, and blue. And was there a change in that where benefits actually decreased for patients, and instead of having the ability to have some higher tiered product, now they're only eligible for some of just those Davis Vision plans. So it's definitely something to take a look at. These are big numbers and decreases in what patients were contributing towards their frames. So that's the beautiful thing about this, is that you can drill down by that. And again, you can see what's happening by patient as well as by true. The other thing that I want to hop into is Practice Breakout. So in Practice Breakout, here is a list of all of our frame manufacturers. I have this sorted by practice. And the reason why I have it sorted by practice is, in session 3, we talked about those high margin products. And here is a practice that has high margin products, but you can see that in 2019, they had very few sales as it related to high margin product. So the benefits of incorporating those did not bode them very well. But the other thing that I really like about this page is that if I turn on my filters here for list and for true, what I'm looking for is the difference between the usual and customary fees. So if I added all of these frames up and I've generated an additional 113,000, but I've only collected 47,000. That's a huge red flag. And for me, that's a pretty significant discount year over year. So definitely what I would want to do is anytime I see, I mean, that's more than a 50%, it's almost a 60% difference between, that true value and that list. And so what I would recommend here is, oh my gosh, perhaps maybe we need to do a profitability analysis, because that's pretty significant. And some of the things that stand out here is like, looking at these affordables, we sold 70 units and they have a list price of 8,000, but we've only collected just over $1,000 for all of these frames. That's not a lot of money per frame. The other one that, we can take a look at, and even though there's only one unit, Banana Republic, we sold one unit, had a list price of $249. We didn't collect anything from the patient, which means that was probably a covered frame from, that managed care plan. But look at what we collected from a true perspective. This wasn't a high margin product frame. Banana Republic goes for $50, $60. We didn't make any money off of this frame at all. Moving on down the line, we take a look here at our 8 to 80. Here's another example where we sold 19 units, and we really, at $2,900, but we only collected $600 in totality. So, Marshawn, is another area that I would look at. We've got, we had, $2,400 in sales and we collected $1,800. So definitely, we want to dive into that and see, what's happening there. So profitability analysis by manufacturer, just to make sure that we're not upside down as it relates to our cost of goods and our profit margins. The other thing that I'd like to spend a little bit of time talking about is like what's happening with our sales over time. And there's a couple of reports within EDGEPro that can give you this information. So let's start off with sales matrix. With sales matrix, you can see things by plan here. So you can see a side-by-side comparison of your revenue as it relates to frame sales. But what I really want to do is I want to see, what these trends over time look like. So if I can expand this out, see a 3-year period of time, I can see, everything that's happened. But what I really want to do is see year over year. I'm looking at all plans, but if I really wanted to dive in, and let's just say Davis Vision is something that I wanted to look at, here's my revenue. In 2017, we were at almost $38,000. In 2018, we had revenue sales of $46,000. But then notice that we dropped a couple thousand here. So what happened, right? Our exam counts, definitely, they went up, but what we sold, has gone down. So you can filter by a specific plan. You can see exactly what's happening with each of these plans as it relates to revenue year over year. We can see with VSP in 2017, we were about 77,000. We jumped up to 81,000 in 2018, and take a look, in 2019, we had significant growth with VSP and our frame sales. So this allows you to see those trends over time, looks for those missed opportunities. And then EdgeMarks Matrix, we're going to dive into that, and we're going to take a look at those averages. So again, I've got my 3-year time period up here. I'm just going to sort this, filter this by year. And now let's take a look and isolate Davis Vision, and let's take a look at these average frame sales. So here in 2017, we were at $66. We jumped up to $72 in 2018. But then look, in 2019, we dropped back down again. So that's what I love. We know where that breakdown happened. And so, our exam counts, obviously went down. So because our exam counts went down, that meant that we had fewer people in the building for an eye exam. But what happened to those patients that did come in and didn't make it to the optical? What happened? What did they buy? Why did they buy what they bought? Why did they buy what they didn't buy? Right? So we have to totally understand that. And so now this arms us with information that helps us truly understand, what's happening. And then, of course, you can sort, by, VSP. That was our second one. And just taking a look here at, our average frame sale, it was 115 in 2017, relatively flat in 18. And then we had a massive jump in that average frame sale. So, again, what happened between 2018 and 2019? Did we have different staff members? Did we change our planogram where we had higher tiered price points within our frame board planogram, right? So this helps you dig down even further. It helps you isolate a specific year. It helps you isolate a specific plan to help you know where you need to go look and investigate a little bit further. So as you are moving through sessions 1, 2, and 3, utilize this tutorial on EDGEPro to help you navigate and uncover what those opportunities look like. And so we know that our opportunities lie within our frames, $0 frames more specifically. So, understanding what happened there. What are we saying? What are we doing differently with Davis Vision that we're not doing with iMed or some of our other managed care plans? Same thing with VSP, right? So helps you understand as well, maybe it's time that we do an assessment to figure out, did, benefits change? Did we, see more of one plan less than another? And you can start analyzing so that as you are setting your business goals for the next year, you know exactly where you need to go focus and hone in on. Thank you so much for joining us on our series on frame board profitability. Now, we'd like to invite you to take it to the next level. Connect with our education and training team for a business analysis. We'll be happy to help you assess your turn rates and provide a profitability analysis to ensure that your cost of goods are in alignment with your profit margins. We hope you've enjoyed our series, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the very near future.